Hello, my viewers. Welcome back to the channel. My video title and the video's about the Steelers' 53-man roster is finally complete. You know, they did all the cuts and the releases. Some guys probably brought back on practice squads and stuff. But we're gonna discuss the main roster. The main roster right here. I got it printed out right here. I'm gonna go through it and break down some of the players, like that. And we're gonna start with special teams. Special teams. We have Presley Harvin, of course, our punter, who's still here. He had a lot of some adversity off the field. The passing of his father, RP. And it kind of messed with cause that can come to play with your plays. Some people in the media, some people, some of the fans, sometimes they never put that into play. Like if your head not in the game, if you some other stuff happening outside the field, that can affect your play. So you should not be too hard on the players. But I think this year he should have a very good year really. And then Chris Boswell is another guy who is very good. The Wizard of Oz, who's been very consistent. He only had one bad season. That was a couple years ago. I think around 2018 when he was missing the field goals in the Browns game, the Raiders game, he slipped on something. And he wasn't playing, he was missing a lot of field goals like that. But that's the only time he had a bad season really like that. And that wasn't really that bad of a season, too much like that. But Chris Boswell has been, he's been almost perfect. The person I think probably better than him is of course Justin Tucker. And I think what's his name is on the come up too. The Falcons kicker Koo, he's on the come up too because he's very consistent too. But I think Chris Boswell has solidified himself as at least the number 2 kicker in the league. Moving on to the, we got the long snapper, Christian Kuntz there. And long snappers are important. People, I remember Bill Belichick broke it down almost like a 10-minute explanation of why long snappers are important, why they should have a spot on the team and stuff. So that was a cool video. If you can see that video, you should go see that. Moving on to safeties, Trey Norwood is still here. He plays very good. Sometimes he's been a slot corner sometimes, but he plays safety. Of course, we got Demonte KZ, had the injury to his I think is it his wrist? Was his wrist or his leg or something like that? He might have carted off too. So it might have been his wrist actually. I think unless I'm mixing up with somebody else's injury, but he had an injury in preseason. Hopefully he be good. Miles Killebrew, that's the guy who had some plays on special teams last year. Had 2 of them. He had one against the Bills week 1 and one against the Chargers. I think he blocked the punt twice, right? I believe so. And he recovered on a punt block and scored a touchdown on a Bills one. Then he blocked the punt against the Chargers like that and get some momentum back in the game. Trey Edmonds, he's been playing very good and very consistent the past 2 years. He's been getting better and better every year. And of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is due for another All-Pro year and a Pro Bowl year right there. I think when people said last year about him, the doubters, I don't know why they was doubting him last year because last year he played very well. It's just like the run game was bad, so he had to come up at his spot a lot of times and get downhill. And he showed that he could tackle very good too, coming downhill and lowering the shoulder on people like that, and he played very well last year. I think this year he's definitely going to get the recognition even more. And moving on to cornerbacks, we got Cameron Sutton, Akilla Witherspoon, Leon Wallace, Arthur Mallet, James Pierre. That's a pretty good solid cornerback group. Akilla Witherspoon being probably the top guy of that group, and Cameron Sutton being the guy probably in the slot, top guy in the slot. And then, of course, Leon Wallace being the other guy on the outside who's an undrafted player we got from the Bills. He played a couple of years for the Bills. He's a solid guy. He played very physical on the outside. As long as he keep playing physical and use his hands and stuff, I think he'd be pretty good on our team. Akilla Witherspoon was a guy who I solidified basically our number 1 receiver. He's only 25 years old, 25, 26. We've seen him, in his old days with the 49ers, he played very well. He was on Seahawks, but he didn't really play. And we didn't use him last year the full time, but at the end of the year, we used him, and he went crazy because he has that length, because to basically pass all them pass breakers he can get and pick the ball off too, and he got the speed too to match with some outside receivers and technique. He's just built for the outside. He's built to be on the island. So you want a guy like that on the roster, and I'm also glad we brought him back. And James Pierre is a guy who had moments last year. Remember the Broncos interception? He had some moments last year. That Cincinnati game that looked so good, and he kind of got benched. But I think at the end of the year, he started making a little bit of noise. And then in the preseason, he been making some noise too. Especially that first preseason game, the pass breakers he was making noise. So he probably get himself back in the rotation, get back in the mix. And he's still on the roster, so I think he did a pretty good job of that. And Arthur Mallet is a guy who was last year in the slot. He's coming downhill in the run game and help a lot and make plays here and there. And as long as the Steelers keep them in the slot, like you see Cam Sutton in the preseason, how he looked very good in the slot. And last year when he played in the slot, he made plays and made things happen. They play better when they're in the slot. Like in the slot corner position, they're not really built for the outside position. They're undersized. They don't have the length, and they don't have all the speed. And if they do have the speed, they don't have the size, to match with some of those big receivers. And it was getting beat and stuff like that on the outside. But inside, they play better, especially in a zone coverage too. So we keep using them in the slot. After Mallet, Cameron Sutton, I think and James Pierre, I think they'd be very good. James Pierre can play on the outside a little bit too in certain situations, but I think it'd be better fit just to use him like in the slot. I think that'd be his best fit. Moving on to linebackers, we have Robert Spillane, Derek Tuska, Miles Jack, Devin Bush, Alex Highsmith, T.J. Watt, Mark Robinson, and Malik Reed, who we got from a trade, who had 5 sacks last year, who had 8 sacks the year before, who's a solid player. He's undrafted, and he's been working his tail off. You know, the Broncos got a lot of outside linebackers. They got a lot of guys who can get in there. So bringing a guy like that over to with us is actually a plus. It's a big pickup too. I knew he still gonna make a move eventually, but that was a very good move, good trade too. But Mark Robinson's a guy who people been hearing his name here and there. He might be a guy getting more opportunity in the rotation. If Devin Bush don't play like he used to play, but from preseason we've seen that he haven't really been getting closer to that. He made maybe one play here or there, but it's not nothing like consistent. So hopefully he get back into it. Of course, we know T.J. Watt spot is solidified. We know T.J. Watt is great. He actually might be the Steelers' leading sack leader this year if things go right. Miles Jack is amazing, especially in preseason we've seen him so far. With the Jaguars, he's amazing too. I thought he's go crazy. He used to kill us too. We played in the playoffs. We played the playoffs with the Jaguars and the regular season with the Jaguars. That one playoff game, division game. I think did he have a pick or he had a tip up something like that, and then in the regular season game, messing us up. And Miles Jack could have been a Pro Bowler probably twice, but he playing Jacksonville, and they don't give Jacksonville players a nod all the time unless you do something super spectacular. I think this year he might get a Pro Bowl nod though, and you never know, maybe All Pro if he plays well like that. Derek Tuska is a good depth piece too. He played last year, but it's a good thing the Steelers signed Malik Reed because last year, when T.J. Watt went down and Alex Highsmith went down, and remember Melvin Ingram, and Tuska, they couldn't do anything. They didn't get any type of pressure on the Cincinnati Bengals. And then that one time when T.J. Watt came out the game, remember Tuska and Taco Charlton was in, and we couldn't get any pressure to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is sitting back there, and Justin Jefferson is an amazing receiver. So now if you ain't got no pressure on Kirk Cousins, you can just drop back there and wait till Jefferson route develop. And we ain't had no cornerbacks who can guard Jefferson like that. Because Witherspoon can put some good defense too, but Jefferson's just a different breed, All Pro, and he got 3,000 yards in his first 2 years. So that kind of becomes a bad mix, and they was lighting us up. It was an exciting game in the end, though. We came back, but it's a good thing we had more depth this year. Added Malik Reed and stuff like that, adding depth to the team. So we have Tuska is a nice player too. I think a solid player. So having Tuska, Malik Reed, and then you have T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith at the spots. And Malik Reed could work his way into the starting spot if Alex Highsmith is not fully healthy and stuff. But I think I feel more comfortable having like those guys as the 4 like that. Of course, T.J. Watt makes you even more comfortable. Of course, having a guy like that as a future Hall of Famer. And Robert Spillane is a great depth piece. Robert Spillane, he's like I said before many times in the past. He plays 110%. He might not be the most talented, might be the most athletic. I think he was undrafted. He played with Tennessee a little bit, and we traded for him. I don't know if we traded for him. I think he got released from Tennessee practice squad, and we just picked him up. But he's a guy who plays with 110% effort. And when you play with effort, some good things is gonna happen. Remember last year he came in, he had the big hit on Derrick Henry. Not last year, the year before last. Hit the big hit on Derrick Henry, hit the pick 6, and last year he made some plays too here and there. I think he had a forced fumble on one of them plays and just making plays like that. He might be the most talented, but he plays a lot of effort, and you want that effort for all your players. Moving on next to the defensive line, we have Andrevius Adams, Larry Ogunjo. I can never say his name. I always say Larry OG. Larry OG, Isaiah Loudermilk. We got Tyson Alulu, Chris Wormley, Cameron Hayward, and DeMarvin Leal. DeMarvin Leal actually was making some plays in preseason with the blocks. If you can't get to the quarterback like that, if you get stuff, can't get to him, jump up. Cameron Hayward do all the time. Jump up, block the ball, just make the tip the ball, something like that. So maybe cause a turnover, like that. Those add up. Tyson Alulu's a guy he's a little older. I don't know if this is last year or not. Probably is. But in the run game, he was healthy and he played with us. He had our run game defense very good. When he got injured, we dropped from like top 5, top 6. I think they were like top 5 or 6. We was around that to all the way to the dead last. We didn't have no good depth. Isaiah Loudermilk, of course, and Chris Wormley. Chris Wormley is a solid player too. Of course, he a good depth piece you can add in, and he made some. I think he had 5 sacks, 6 sacks last year. I think he made some plays. Isaiah Loudermilk is a guy too who can use too. And Larry OG, that's gonna be the big X factor on the D line, defensive line, because getting a guy like that he already know what AFC North football is about. He been around on the Browns, he been with the Bengals, and now he's with us. So he hopefully he stay with us. He don't go to the Ravens or nothing like that. Trying to keep his pattern going. But Larry OG is going to be a dynamic have a dynamic impact on the team with having him, Cameron Hayward, and then TJ Watt on the outside. And then you have Alex Highsmith and then with Malik Reed mixing in too like that. It's gonna be a headache for some defenses, like, because you can't double team everybody. And Larry OG is a guy who can get home. Cameron Hayward, we know he can get home, all pro and stuff. TJ Watt, same thing, all pro, future Hall of Famers, like, they can get home. So our defense should be looking real, real good, especially on the sack department. I predict that we might have 60 sacks. I said 65 sacks, so hopefully we get that. But yeah, this depth right here and defensive line is very good. Linebacker depth, very good. Cornerback depth, very good. Safety depth, very good too. Well, cornerback depth is solid. Safety depth is very good like that. But on special teams is cool too. They didn't look too good in the last preseason game, but they're pretty cool. Now moving on to the offense. The offensive line, that is the question mark. You know, is the Steelers offensive line going to be good or is it going to be bad? That's the question mark right there. I'll move this back real fast. Right there. Yeah, that's the question right there. That's the offensive line. Is the offensive line going to be bad, good or bad? So that's the question mark that everybody been asking for. And Kendrick Green is on the roster. He made the roster. Kendrick Green has been struggling. He's been struggling a lot. He hasn't been like I don't know if it's like the chemistry with the other offensive linemen or if it's like just like him. He's just inconsistent really. They be getting ran over. They moving back to guard, but it still haven't been working out too well. So hopefully he can get it together. They say Hassenauer can't say his name either, but he been in the center of our team for about 3 or 4 years. He been here for a little while. Mason Cole, Dan Moore Jr., Kevin Dotson, Chooks Okafor, and then James Daniels, and then Jesse Davis, a guy who we just traded for. So I guess the Steelers, they added another guy. Jesse Davis is he might not be like a superstar household name, but I think he's a guy who has a lot of experience, and I think the Steelers want to bring experience because we got a young O-line. It's a very young offense in general, but a very young O-line. So like I don't know how we're gonna kind of like merge it together, how we want to mix it together, but maybe bring a veteran presence, maybe that kind of help the O-line. Now the tight ends, we got Zach Gentry, who improved a lot last year with blocking and making plays here and there. And then Connor Hayward, I feel like he's gonna be a good guy. He's gonna be a guy to help a lot too. They might use him as a fullback and tight end. And maybe as a running back, and maybe it's a short yard situation to get 1 yard. But yeah, Najee Harris, I don't think you do it, but you never know, might mix it up a little bit. Pat Freiermuth, I have like big predictions for Pat Freiermuth. I think Pat Freiermuth will have like 10 touchdowns. I'm saying 700 plus yards, 10 touchdowns. I think he's a red zone threat, red zone machine. And last year he had a lot more opportunities too. But Big Ben didn't really throw the ball to him a lot. He threw the ball to him or get him out, but he didn't really throw it to him a lot in some situations. I feel like he had a lot of opportunities where he was like open or like single coverage. Only just give him a chance. That man right there go crazy. That Browns catch. After that Browns catch he caught last year, you give a guy like that a chance every time. Like I see him in the end zone one-on-one, I'm gonna throw it up. And then the wide receivers, our receiver core is very good. With Gunner, Steven Sims, Calvin Austin, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Miles Boykin, Chase Claypool. I ain't got to say too much about the wide receivers. You guys know we have all different types of wide receivers. We got speedsters, we got route runners, we got guys who are physical. We got red zone threats. We got jump ball artists. We got everything. We got all different type of wide receivers on our team. Like different type of the depth is just crazy. So I look to see a lot of these guys be utilized as well. And running backs, we have Derek White, who's basically the fullback. Jalen Warren, Benny Snell, and of course Najee Harris. I think Jalen Warren is the second guy. Benny Snell be the third guy. Benny Snell makes some plays, and he makes plays in special teams, so he on the roster probably special teams too. But he might get some touches here or there in the backfield too. But I think Jalen Warren should be getting a lot of touches because his elusiveness and his run after the catch, what he thinks he can do when he get the ball in his hands after the catch or when he get the handoff. But I think he's better in the pass game. I feel like he can help the offense out a lot. And then quarterbacks, we have Mr. Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph. Of course, I think it's in that order that I just read it. Mr. Trubisky is the guy, the starter. Kenny Pickett is number 2. Who's been, he played well in preseason and stuff like that. And Mason Rudolph played well in preseason as well. But I think Mr. Trubisky has shown that showing that veteran presence, showing that experience, and just kind of broke away. Slightly broke away from them like that. Now that ain't to say that Kenny Pickett might not get a chance to play later down his line. Maybe if hopefully no injuries happen, or maybe if Mr. Trubisky playing bad, but hopefully not. Or maybe if like we in good contention and in the last game of the season, can you pick it in? I think that'd be my scenario. That's the scenario I really want. Like we in good contention when we already have a playoff spot locked up, and on the last game of the season, like can you pick and play because this game is like kind of meaningless a little bit. And Mason Rudolph might get a chance to play too. It might be with us, but I don't think it will be with us. I think there's a low percentage chance, or it might be probably a different team, most likely. Maybe the Jets. Maybe the Buccaneers. I said the Buccaneers because Buccaneers, Tom Brady might retire after this year, and next year they'll have Cal Trask. But I think Mason Rudolph can go compete there. You never know what he could do. I feel like we kind of like ought to run our course with Mason Rudolph. And I think Mason Rudolph goes to a different team. Mason Rudolph's not a bad quarterback because people always portray him as like a terrible quarterback. I feel like he's solid. He's in between. If you let him play 8 games, he'll give you 4 and 4 like that. He'll keep you in contention. He may not be a franchise guy. I don't know if he's a franchise guy to like help you win a Super Bowl or nothing, but he could like wrong. Maybe sound mistaken, something like that. But I think Mason Rudolph is a solid player. If he get on a different team, I wish him the best of luck like that. But if he stay around, that'd be a plus too, because they're just having more veteran presence, especially to help build up Kenny Pickett and stuff like that. So yeah, Mason Rudolph looked pretty good, but people kind of like tear him down after that 1 year he had like that. But even that 1 year he had was still solid. It was a solid year. He's a solid player. But yeah, that's the end of the 53-man roster list. You guys in the conversation what you guys like about the roster cuts and stuff like that. But see you guys next time on the channel. Peace out.